Hey everybody, welcome to Jason Johnson's YouTube channel. I am very excited about what I get to talk about today. We talk about music, we talk about sports, we talk about politics. We are talking about comic stuff today, which is very cool, and it's also comic stuff that matters even if you're not a big comic book fan. So, you know the routine. If you're watching this right now on Instagram, you're gonna get like the first minute, then you have to go over to my YouTube channel. Please like, subscribe, and share on YouTube. We're doing really, really well, trying to get to like 20,000 by the end of the month. And we're gonna talk about our three things, because there's something really, really big happening right now in the pop culture world and the comic book world and the race world that everybody needs to care about. So, three things. So first off, if you've seen it anywhere online, it's popped up online, it's popped up in different magazines like the Roots, Essence, everything else like that, Black Panther is white. Or at least that's what you've been hearing. So we're going to talk about what's actually going on with the white Black Panther, what that actually means, why people are pissed, why people are jumping up and down about it. Number two, we're going to talk about who's talking about the white Black Panther and why that matters, why that's a real issue, why that matters to everybody who likes everything from the MCU to superhero movies to comics to just buying stuff for your kids on Father's Day. And number three, we're going to talk about why this matters and why comic book characters, even something like Black Panther, regardless of what you feel about the movies or Chadwick Boseman or anything else like that, actually means something to every single one of us. So those are the three things for today. We are getting started right here, right now. So first off, I'm just going to tell you all a little bit of something about my credentials. If you don't know, I'm a comic book person. I got my Black Panther shirt on. I got like my Black Panther stuffed animal here from Build-A-Bear, my Black Panther mug. You see all my Funko Pops here. I got like the original Black Panther. I am that dude, okay? I know my comics. This is an original. This is the actual first appearance of Black Panther. I have this locked away. I got all the comics and stuff like that. So I am the person that actually knows about this and is excited about it. You hear me make these pop culture references. So what is everybody talking about? Everybody's talking about this. This scene right here. Those of you who know anything about Black Panther comic books know that there's always this fight. If you've ever seen it in the movie, he fights on the mountain for leadership. And at the end of the comic, it looks like T'Challa is fighting somebody and he loses. And then the next page is this. Boom. This white guy supposedly beats him on the mountain and becomes the next Black Panther. And then all of a sudden everything on the internet is exploding. People are like, oh my God, why is there a white Black Panther? Why is there a white Black Panther on this new comic, The World to Come? This is supposed to be Black Panther. People jumping up and down. I want to say something first about anybody who has seen this, who pays attention to either comic books, the MCU, or anything else like that. Yo, it's comics. And I'm not saying his comics are unimportant. I'm saying it's comics from the standpoint of like, does anyone think that the first issue of a comic book is going to be indicative of everything else that happens in the series? Trust me on this. It's not. This is a twist ending. This is something to make you excited, to make you care, to make you pay attention one way or another. The fact that this white kid, Katoma, is the person who appears to have beaten T'Challa on the mountain and becomes Black Panther, that just means it's the first part of the story. The fact that everybody's talking about it, people shouldn't be screaming saying, oh my God, this is racist. Why is he doing this to us again? Etc. etc. So that's the first thing. Come on, it's a comic. It's going to be a twist ending. Number two, for people who actually know something about comic books, and that's what I'm really going to get into when I get to my second, if you know anything about actual comic books, and I do, because I actually read comic books, like I'm actually a Black Panther fan, have read the comics and not just the movies, you know my theory is that this kid is actually Everett K. Ross's son. Right? Everett K. Ross, you remember from the Black Panther movies. He was a white guy who helps him out one way or another. So it's probably a twist ending. When he says he's Black Panther's son, he's probably Everett K. Ross's son, blah, blah, blah. We get into that. And then the last thing is this, and this is really key. I know some inside stuff here because I know some comic book people, but the last thing that I'll point out is this. One thing that you have to understand about anything that happens in comics is there's all sorts of alternative universes. So just because something happens in one comic here doesn't mean that has anything to do with what's happening in the movies or what's happening in television. It's all different universes. How many different Batmans have you seen, right? So people who are mad about this thing right here, right now, need to understand that in the comic book world, these things happen. Relax, chill. Number two, this is my call out. Because this is why I think this is important. When I talk about who's actually talking about this, I mean people like Tyrone Magnus. I mean handles like Nerdcrotic. I mean like Critical Drinker. I mean the Benny Show, whatever it is. There are lots of people out there in the internet world, in the media world, who are nothing but sort of MAGA, racist, anti-woke clowns who love the idea of this because they're generally just grifters. And what do I mean by that? They're culture grifters. There's a whole lot of people out there who don't know anything about sports, but suddenly decided that they care a lot about it because they want to stoke racial tension between Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark. There's a whole lot of people out there who ain't never read a comic book in their life, but they see, oh, there's a white Black Panther, and they see it as an opportunity to grift your anger, to grift your frustration, to grift your confusion, and get you to pay attention to them. That's what this is about. There is a whole panoply, whole universe of people who do this, right? Anytime you look at a website that says anti-woke this, there's a terrible website out there talking about comics called Bounding Into Comics that I hate. It's trash. It pops up occasionally on my Google because I'm a comic fan. They don't care about comics. These aren't people who care about Superman or Batman or Black Panther or Shuri or anything else like that. These are people who are just racist, basically. They're racist and culture vultures, and they see any opportunity they can to sort of poke the bear. Let me tell you that the new comic book coming out featuring Shuri, who's Black Panther's sister, you can say that's trash. Oh, we can get mad at the new MCU movie because it has a She-Hulk in it. We think She-Hulk is trash. She-Hulk has been around since like the early 70s. That character is older than me. It's a 50-something-year-old character. Shuri was invented about 15 or 20 years ago. New characters get invented in comics all the time. So if you see anything online, understand that there are people who are literally dedicated. Their whole careers are dedicated to finding anything that they can hate. You see it also with Star Wars movies. They're like, oh, this is woke garbage. We hate the fact that there was a black woman who was a Jedi. We hate the fact that there was a woman who's a Jedi. Those people exist. And we have to understand that when they start putting their nose into comics that we actually love, like the culture that we actually pay attention to, we have to know, even if it's a guy like Tyrone Maggs, because there's some black people out there that do this nonsense, that it's all about a hustle. The Rippaverse, all that kind of stuff, it's all right-wing garbage masquerading as actual comic fandom. I said it, it's true. You can see most of the stuff these people do. Now, number 3, which is the key. Why does any of this matter? It matters because the culture wars in America, the larger political culture wars in America, they're actually not fought in the streets. I mean, we like to talk about it that way. We like to say, okay, this is a protest, this is a march, this is this, that, the other. It's voting, it's this. But that's actually not where our culture is formed. Our culture is formed by the sports that we watch. Our culture is formed by the Joe Rogans of the world. The culture is formed by the conversations we have. So the reason that we should care, even if you're not like a big, huge comic book person, is because when you see the right and the alt-right and grifters and the Andrew Tates and all these people, when you see them sticking their nose into the culture, you know that it's not about a cultural discussion. You know it's about a way for them to trick you into believing in their sort of racist, misogynistic, homophobic, sexist beliefs under the guise of caring about comics, right? So what do? You go say, well, you know, if there's a white Black Panther, obviously the black people should be happy with it because they've had all sorts of other race mixing and race swapping in characters, and we hate it when they turn a white character into a black character, et cetera, et cetera. And when they start those discussions, right, those lead people down dangerous paths. Look, I know brothers that I know. I had a friend literally come to me once saying like, hey, they're doing all this woke stuff. Now they've got a She-Hulk instead of the Hulk. And I was like, dude, that stuff is actually pretty normal. That comic's been around for a long time. But he didn't know that, right? It was number 2. He had fallen in with these grifters. And what ends up happening is they change the culture. They turn men into these sort of red pill manosphere guys. They turn women into people who will say, hey, I don't like comics anymore because I guess it's all sexist and gross. So we have to understand that anything that has to do with culture, we have to protect culture. We have to protect Wakanda forever. We have to protect comics in the same way that we protect movies, the same way that we protect music. You knew 25 years ago that when Bill O'Reilly, remember his name back on Fox News, was talking about Ludacris and how I think he got like Pepsi to stop their sponsorship of Ludacris in a concert, whatever. We knew that wasn't because Bill O'Reilly cared about music. He doesn't care about music. He's not a music artist. He's not a music person. He cared about his racism and using that as a way to attack hip hop music. So the same thing is happening in comic books. Whenever you see someone say, we've got to stop these woke MCU movies. We have to stop these woke comics. We have to stop this woke Black Panther. Good thing now he's actually white. Understand that they're pushing a cultural agenda and a political narrative. And we have to fight back on that by, 1, embracing actual art, buying comics, supporting black writers, supporters, and people who have progressive ideas. And then 2, at the end of the day, regardless of what you see in a first issue, you got to learn how to be patient and recognize that good storytelling is supposed to make you angry. It's supposed to make you excited. It's supposed to make you want to buy the very next issue in the series. And if it doesn't, then there's a problem. those are my three things. So as I said, number one, you got to know that we got a white Black Panther right now. May not be Black Panther forever. Number two, watch out for the grifters, the critical drinkers, the Benny Show, the Tyrone Magnus. Look out for those grifters who try to use culture as a way to promote racism, MAGA, homophobia, and everything else like that. And number three, protect the culture. It's like they said, we losing our recipes. You protect the culture, you protect your art, you protect your music, you protect your comic books. Everybody's going to end up being a lot happier. And as I said, as someone who actually loves the comic books, from stuffed animals to Funkos, I'm ready to see what the next adventure is, regardless of what somebody says in the first issue. It's Jason Johnson. Catch you later.